Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Thanks, Pat, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. It's time to say hello to our Agony aunt, Phil Prendergast, but she's in Clonmel and I'm in Nina. Good morning to you, Phil.
I'll have to shout.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sam.
Good to talk to you, Phil. How are things with you?
Very good, yeah, can't complain.
Good. Well, we have some complaints into us, I guess, and some problems that they need you to have a look at. So we launch straight in with letter number 1. Dear Phil, I don't even know how to say this without sounding horrible, but I've started to feel genuinely embarrassed by my parents. My dad keeps trying to be funny, telling these awful jokes that just make everybody groan, and he honestly just comes across as stupid. And my mum, well, she puts on this fake posh voice like she's in some drama class, and everything she says sounds completely rehearsed. I can't even be in the same room without wanting to hide under a blanket. It's getting to the point where I avoid having friends over at all. Everybody else talks about their cool or normal parents, and I just feel like mine are acting out some weird comedy sketch. I know they love me, but I can't help feeling embarrassed. Like, why can't they just be normal? Sometimes I wish I could disappear whenever they start doing their funny or posh routines. It's exhausting, and honestly, it's kind of humiliating. What do you make of that, Phil?
I don't know that there's a family member that isn't embarrassed by their parents at some stage, Fran. But I would just think that the person here needs to kind of relax about how the parents are. She can't, or he can't, really change how they are. But she can change how they feel about them. I think there's often a time where you have somebody new coming into the house, like a new friend or whatever, and the parents start acting up, and you just have to, it's probably best to ignore them entirely, but sometimes I remember you'd be warning someone, now my mother can be a bit odd, don't mind her, on the way in, but look, it's getting to the point where this person is trying to avoid having friends coming over at all. I think they're probably overthinking this. And some dads do awful dad jokes, and sometimes mum could have the posh voice on her, but I mean, you just would laugh at that,
I suppose, yeah. But do you know what I put some of it down to? It's kind of nervousness. I mean, if the dad is trying to be funny, he's just trying to, I don't know, be personable, I suppose, and make somebody feel welcome. But it probably comes across a bit groany and a bit corny.
Well, it would, you see. Dad jokes can be woeful. They can just really embarrass people. And, the child, in this case, considers him to be stupid for telling these awful jokes, and I suppose really what he's trying to do is try to be welcoming, I suppose, and trying to be personable, but it comes across the wrong way. But I think the young person in this case needs to probably relax a little bit about it and stop overthinking it.
Yeah, the idea of having the posh voice on the phone, we all remember. Is that still a thing? Or it doesn't appear to me anyways.
No, I don't think so, Fran. Mrs. Bouquet has kind of gone out of things for people, but there was a time, I suppose, when phones were relatively a new thing, where there might be a little bit of poshness would creep in when you're answering the phone, but you'd get over it fair fast. Or you'd be told to get over it.
We're not sure what age this person is who has written to us. It sounds like they're teenager, possibly?
I would say probably a teenager, because at that particular time when they're coming into puberty and stuff like that, they can get embarrassed very easily by their parents or by events or by schools or by teachers or by people paying attention to them where they would have been under the radar before, and that can be difficult to try and get around it. But really, I suppose it's just one of those things where young people are embarrassed by their parents, and nothing much is going to change about that.
I suppose I found that transition difficult, where they believe that you know everything and you're kind of heroic to them in some way, and then all of a sudden, and it seems to happen overnight, they're embarrassed by you. It's kind of hard to deal with. at times, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah. It sure is. I think you're always going to have some point, especially when puberty and all that starts, because they're coming to terms with the changing dynamic within themselves, and whether this is a male or female, we're not quite sure, but different puberty affects males and females a bit differently as well, I suppose, and sometimes it's being mortified over the parents is the thing, but it'll be something else next week.
How should the parents deal with it, Phil, do you think? I mean, should they just pull back a bit, or...?
You see, I don't think the father is I don't think he means to be telling awful jokes, but it's just the way he is, and I suppose you just have to get used to that. And the best thing that they could do altogether is just ignore it and completely ignore it. And I mean, if it's getting to the point where they're going to avoid having friends over, well, they need to think about that as well. You know, I mean, how bad is it? It's not the end of the world. It's not as if he's getting a beating or she's getting a beating, or it's not as if there's anything real bad meant by it. It's just the way people are. And sometimes the posh voice thing, that used to always be, I remember when we got the phone into the house first, and my mother would certainly have a posh voice and would go, hello, this kind of thing. And then you'd say to yourself, oh God, she's mortifying us now.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll move on to our second one then. Dear Phil, I feel like I'm trapped in a lie and I can't escape. Every Sunday I go to Mass with my family. I'm smiling, nodding, pretending to believe. But the truth is, I lost my faith years ago. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of acting like someone I'm not. And yet I can't stop thinking about how my wife and grown-up children will react if I tell them. They've built their lives around these beliefs, and I'm terrified of shattering their world. I love them dearly, but I also feel like I'm losing myself. Part of me wants to come clean, to finally stop living behind a mask, but the fear of rejection or disappointment keeps me silent. I don't know how to be honest without causing pain, and I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Every week I sit in the pew, the weight of this secret pressing down, and I wonder if there's a way to be true to myself without losing the people I love most. Interesting one, isn't it?
It is, Fran. I honestly don't understand how he feels that he's going to lose the people he loves the most if he stops going to Mass. I honestly don't understand why this has become a thing.
They sound like a very, dedicated to their religion, a family very...
Yeah, and I respect that, because I think everyone has the right to be dedicated to some part. But but he seems to... he has lost his faith many years ago, and he's tired of pretending. He's tired of acting like someone he isn't, and he can't stop thinking about how his wife and grown-up children would react if I tell them. I'd say they will not care at all if he tells them that I'm really not interested in going to Mass. I mean, we're talking here about probably a half an hour in someone's week.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why that would even be problematic. But it's equally, I don't understand why he continues to go if it's something he just doesn't like. And I think his adult children are not going to mind at all if he stops going to Mass.
I'm reading between the lines. I'm wondering if he was very devout himself at some point or other, because he says they've built their lives around these beliefs, and I'm terrified of shattering that world. So I'm wondering if he might have been instrumental in them being devout in some way.
But you see, I think, Fran, a lot of younger people make a decision about whether they want to continue going to church or not, and I think that's okay if they decide that. And I don't think that a parent should either be... if somebody wants to stop doing something, they should just stop doing it if it upsets them that particularly much. Now, I mean, I understand that religion is very, very important to a lot of people. But it's not going to, you're not going to explode if you don't go to Mass. There's times when people just can't get to Mass, whether it's because they're in hospital or because, people can listen to Mass. And I mean, I remember having this discussion with my mother recently. Now, she's 88 years of age, and she said she has a little thing she drives around on, one of those wheelchair things.
Scooter,
scooter, yeah. And she said it's difficult now for her, because when she gets to the church, I think there's 5 or 6 steps. So she'd have to leave her little scooter outside and go up the steps, and then she goes to what was always her pew.
Yeah.
So it's up the church. And she said, I'm getting a bit shook for this. And I said, ma'am, you can actually listen to Mass on the telly. It's on every Sunday on the telly. And she says, not the same. You need to be there. Yeah. Now, I mean, that's her belief. Yeah. That's her belief. But she's getting to the point where she's going to have to be brought to Mass or helped or make a decision that she can sit in the back seat.
Yeah, it's tough for her, though, isn't it?
It is. Especially when they're that age and they've always had, going to Mass is a comfort for her. She likes it. Now, she could be talking the whole way through it as well. Anytime I'm with her anyway, she seems to be, but we have to ignore that as well and just, she's...
Absolutely. So the father in this case then, should he sit down the family and say, look, this is how I feel about this,
I don't even know, Fran, would the kids really care all that much.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to have built a thing around it that he's trapped in a lie and he can't escape.
Deal,
He's pretending to believe, and the truth is he lost his faith. So he's tired of pretending. He's tired of acting out like something he's not, and he can't stop thinking about how his wife and grown-up children will react if they tell him. They won't care at all, Fran.
Yeah.
They won't care one bit.
So he needs to relax and...
He needs to relax and decide, look, I'm not going to go today, or I will go, but I'm, So I think he's overthinking it, being honest with you.
All right, to the final letter. I'm kind of sad about this letter because it kind of, there's elements of this that's affecting me as well. But anyway, it says, Dear Phil, since turning 60, I've been consumed by thoughts of death. It came on suddenly, almost like a switch flipped. And now it greets me the moment I open my eyes in the morning. I can't stop thinking about leaving my loved ones behind and stepping into the great unknown. The fear is constant and it overshadows everything else in my life. Part of me worries about the things I've done in the past. My life hasn't been exemplary, and I can't help but feel that I have to pay a price for some of my actions. I love my family dearly, but I feel unworthy and anxious, trapped by regret and fear. How can I come to terms with this anxiety without letting it consume the rest of my life? Well, what do you make of that, Phil?
Sure, look, I feel quite saddened reading it, really, because they're so consumed by the thoughts of dying. And honestly, at 60, I think there's a long way to go. Definitely, I hope to live a lot longer than being in my 60s. But I think the anxiety is something they should go and have a chat maybe with the doctor or something, or the nurse practitioner in their local medical centre, because I think there's a bit of anxiety here, and a little bit of counselling mightn't go astray either, because he says that my life hasn't been exemplary and I can't help but feel that I may have to pay a price for some of my actions. And you can't change what you've done in your life, but you can change how you feel about it. And I think if he did have a chat and maybe you have a little bit of counselling, that it would put a lot of his worries at ease. Now, we are all going to die, and there is no doubt about that, but we don't know what happens when we're dead. I think when you're dead, you're just dead. I'm not so sure there's anything after that.
Like Oscar Wilde, I think an exception is going to be made in my case. That's the way I get from day to day, you see.
And you know what? It's an issue, I think, that worries people, or if they get suddenly ill. And it's a serious illness. But people do get cancers and recover from them or manage it. And people do get some people get a very hard life, or they might have, had a lot of illness, or they might just feel debilitated or feel they have a disability of some sort, and it makes their life much more difficult. So I suppose the one thing it's important here is not to make this out to be a minor thing. For this person, they're consumed by thoughts of death. And the fact that it came on so suddenly. So I do think that a bit of counselling wouldn't go astray here. And I think it would definitely maybe change how they feel about death. I don't think it's something to be feared, being honest.
Do you not think, though, that, sometimes it is a particular number, like since turning 60, this guy is saying. So 60 was the trigger, I suppose, for this, Phil.
Well, you see, many years ago, Fred, I think people died much younger than they do now. And we have better health care, we have better means of looking after ourselves, and we have better conditions. We certainly have, better houses, better insulation. We have better food. We have, well, I mean, if you choose to eat the better food and all of that. But I suppose before, there was a lot of people died in their 40s and in their 50s, and the longevity wasn't anything like what we can expect to have today. And there's that. So. Look, I think this person, if they went and had a chat with the counsellor, or even to go in and have a chat with the doctor, they might find that something, maybe a little bit of an antidepressant of some sort, might work for a while. And they could come off it again. They're not going to get, hooked up on it. But, I mean, the fear for this person, they say it's constant and it overshadows everything else. So definitely, I think you could do either with a little bit of help, or definitely go and consider having a chat.
Yeah, and here she mentions the word anxiety a couple of times, so it's very real, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I mean, anxiety is something, and you can deal with it and acknowledge it, but it doesn't have to stay with you all the time. But if you're very anxious and you feel you need a little bit of medication, go for it. It's not going to. Not going to have a negative effect on you. And I think the fact that they can write a letter in, and, maybe they'll find some comfort in the fact that this does happen to most people at different times in their lives, and you can come and it can go, but it does go for a lot of people. Some people continue to be worried and anxious, and you need to ask yourself, what are you worried about most? Because when you're dead, you're dead. You're not going to know anything about it.
Well, it depends on your interpretation of that. Several people might disagree with you on that and have other opinions, but there you go. That's fine too, isn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah. And I mean, there would be people that say, when you die, you're going to go, and you're going to be on another plane, and you're going to be, you're going to be in God's arms, and you're going to be this, and that gives comfort to a lot of people, and I respect that. There's absolutely no reason to think any different, and your beliefs are your beliefs. But anxiety is a thing in itself, and sometimes people need a little bit of help with it when they start getting very anxious.
All right, well, great advice as always. If anybody wants to write to Phil, it is tiptoday@tippfm.com, and if you put Dear Phil in the subject line, we will know what you're at. Phil, pleasure. Sorry we're not seeing each other face to face, but lovely to hear you today. Thanks,
and you too, Fran. Take care.
Thanks,
now.
Phil. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That is our Agony aunt, Phil Prendergast, speaking to us from our Clonmel studio this morning. We're here in Nina. We'll take a break. We're back with more in just a tad.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.